Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to the channel. After Fafnir 90, I felt like I was just about ready to quit when I got to stage 120 Golden Guardian, but I was able to conquer him in no time at all. So if you're struggling, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so starting out here with the Golden Guardian, this is floor 120, and you're going to see that I have 3 DPS units with 2 supports. Now, Brynhild and the Hound are both great defenders and bring lots of buff to this fight. And that is why, frankly, I'm able to survive. Now, I will say that both of my defenders have the Isolde passive imprinted onto their weapon, and I don't actually remember which weapon I applied to them because it was more important about the imprint than the actual weapon effect. Now, there is, I think, a Shepherd's Staff, which allows a hero to receive a percentage of damage that is received by the lowest HP hero, and that could also be an effect here on this team. I know I've used that before, and it might be on either Brynhild or the Hound, and that could help mitigate some damage from your damage dealer. And in fact, that probably would have helped if I don't have it applied. It would have helped later on with Achilles. Now, speaking of Achilles, he is here primarily for the bleed. Try to make him as tanky as you can with accuracy to apply the bleeds, because at the end of the day, you don't care about what damage his attacks are actually putting out, you only care about the passive. There are 2 forms of damage other than attacks that are being applied here. It is the radiance applied by Brynhild and the bleeds that are applied by Achilles. And you can see with each attack, especially when radiance is applied, it really does chunk the Golden Guardian's health. Now, you can apply those all you want, but if you can't survive the attacks, which was the first problem I had when I started fighting this boss, then you're not going to be able to damage and outlive him. And you can see even here, Achilles is really struggling, and he does struggle for most of this fight. And so make sure that when you are applying gear to your heroes that you apply enough HP and defense to really be able to help you out here. But you can see here, we're only just about, 2 minutes in, and we're already right at about half HP. I do have the Dagonet passive on both of my primary damage dealers, and that does kick in once we are now hitting him below 50 HP. That also helps. I highly recommend it. So what is going on here? Achilles is applying the bleed, ripping off the bleeds and applying more damage. The Hound is adding protection and shield to all of the heroes to help them survive, and then when he is hit, he also is being given he's applying healing to the team because of Isolde's passive, and then Brynhild is applying radiance, defense up, applying decrease attack, the big version of it, on her A1, and then Zeus and Beowulf are just applying damage to the boss. Based off of, whatever stats are happening or anything like that, it always is a little unfortunate how little my biggest damage dealer does, but you can see right there, because of radiance, it just chunked the Guardian's HP. Really an effective means of applying damage over time in a long fight. But the bleed is still there, so that's going to apply some more damage, and we just simply continue to whittle away. That one was particularly a big fight. I remember even looking up at his health point at this part, and I was like, oh, I might actually win this. I thought through the whole time that Achilles dying may seal the deal, but I get a couple attacks in, we go in. I feel like that particularly should have killed the boss, and I think there might be something going on with his passive or an ability he has that mitigates killing damage, but then with Zeus's ultimate, we finish off the fight. After almost less than 7 minutes, I completed Golden Guardian stage 120. Let's get into those builds. When it comes down to damage, these are very simple, right? So you just want to crit cap your damage dealers. You want to give them as much crit damage as you can, any survivability, and then Beowulf is really, the boss slayer. And so this is really where most of my damage came from, and that's with a crit cap and a crit damage, and really nothing extremely crazy. I do have the Dagonet imprint on both of their weapons and crit damage on both of their weapons, but there's nothing specific about the weapons I use myself. You can even see here, Zeus's weapon is the Naginata. So have a 25% chance of activating a random damaging debuff. This does help in a sense with the bleed that's being played on, and I did use it because of that, but I didn't see it really taking it very often. So use it, don't use it. I heard a lot of other players were putting this weapon on every single one of their heroes if they could, and to cause just more of that damage over time, dot effect damage from bleed. Now, when it really comes down to builds, the most important thing is your support. So we have Brynhild here with 34k HP 1.1 defense, 137 speed, and then every other stat I just didn't care about. I did give her any initiative that I could, but really I just wanted her fast enough to be able to take some turns and survivable. And so that's really what helped. I did do stats and sets for this build. I don't know how particularly helpful that was, but I did get an accuracy increase for each turn, and that could very potentially have helped with my decreased attack. So keep that in mind when you see this accuracy number, that the Raven set is going into effect, and I have that 50% increase from Raven as well, which is in the 140. I used the bear set to also just increase defense for survivability, and then the Isolde passive on the imprint, gaining 6% turn meter when attacked. Also just wanted to continue to her turn meter so I could get around the protective buffs and abilities that she had. Really just trying to give her and my next champion, the Hound, more turns was what I really wanted. And sure enough, guys, you can see here that I did put the Shepherd's Axe on the Hound. This absorbs 12% of damage that an ally with the lowest HP would receive. And even still, you can see in that run that that Achilles died. And so if I hadn't had this, he would have died sooner, potentially may not have won, but it's kind of RNG at that point, right? Isolde passive, critical here, as both, I believe, the Hound of Duat and Brynhild are defenders. And so every time they get hit, a portion of their HP is going to heal all the other champions. And you saw that kind of decrease and increase of health during the fights as well. Really important. And so my final champion was Achilles, and you can see here, he is just, rank 4. I ascended him so that he could have his passive, and because I've been farming 75 a bit, so I definitely had the resources. I made sure his abilities were upgraded. I think I farmed 100 or 110 for that, for the scrolls. And then the gear is just any accuracy upon which it still seemed low. I didn't see him going very often on the bleed, but it's a 50% chance, right? And so I don't know if I ever got super lucky on those bleeds, but I put in the accuracy. This seemed to be enough. I gave World Splitter for just a little bit of stat boost. I probably could have actually, honestly, I could have done something more to help the team out. But at this point with him, I was just trying to throw stuff on. You can see I have no imprint, anything like that. Achilles isn't even fully tuned for this fight, but I was able to win. So I really put it down to Radiance and Bleed, and honestly Beowulf, because he's such a boss killer. Let me show you Radiance real quick. I often forget what it does, but yeah, here we go. So Radiance 2, this reduces and reflects 20% of the attack damage received. And so 20% of that damage that he would have applied to your team was going back at him and really chunking his health. So there you go, guys. That is Guardian Stage 120. If you are still struggling, make sure and leave a comment down below with what is the problem so I can continue to help you. Join us in the Discord, chat with us, join the live streams. I'll see you in the next one.